huge political football, and that was really unfortunate because we'd really like to solve the problem, you know, or at least make it better. Talking tough about getting tough on sex offenders is easy to do. Actually getting tough is a little bit trickier business. And the reason for that is that the prosecutors and the police, you know, they want to put the handcuffs on the criminals, not themselves. And so if we tie their hands and make it difficult for them to get convictions, then you're not going to get more people locked up. You're going to have less. And so you've got to really be careful. And I'm glad to hear Jim, I think a little bit different than what he was doing before the legislature the last time. And that is, in those cases where you can get the family to testify, we ought to allow the prosecutors to do that special allegation. And that was something that we left off our law, and we should fix it this next time. I'll do that.
To Ron Bainey, what is your view of medically accurate sex education in the public schools?
Medically accurate sex education?
I'm just reading it.
Yeah. The broader question behind this is really the role of the schools, or even the role of the government in caring for kids and caring for families. I believe we're heading in this country towards what many people call a nanny state, where unfortunately our schools are being asked to do everything, including sex education, healthcare, recreation, lifestyle, and many, many, many different things. I generally think that's a wrong approach to take. I think government should actually be a bully pulpit for doing a lot of things that would strengthen families to do those kinds of things. Teach parenting and many other aspects. Without a family renewal, a moral renewal of culture, we're going to become a nanny state, and that will only increase the problems, or at least create a huge institution that no one will like.
Thank you. Unfortunately, we cannot legislate morality. And two, because there's a change in our whole social structure. My preference would be for the parent to teach their children, but we know that is not happening. Medically accurate means that it's confirmed that when you teach the child about sex education, it has been demonstrated medically that it will work. It has been approved, not something that you teach and has not been approved. This has been very, very controversial. And so consequently, if you don't want your child to have that, be in that class, you can always opt out. You don't have to have your child in that class. And so consequently, it has to be taught. And
Tammy Green?
Well, I'm a nurse, so I definitely support medically accurate sex ed. And what the studies actually show that when kids are given the true accurate picture, they actually delay their first sexual experience to an older age. They decrease the amount of teenage pregnancy and decrease the amount of abortions. I know that in my district, 70% of parents believe we ought to teach medically accurate sex education.
Anyone else? Okay, there's one more question from the audience, and this goes to anybody. What do you think a parent's role is in education?
I really think that the parents' role in education should be elevated. But parents are afraid, many, in order to go into the classroom. They've told me this. A lot of times they don't feel welcome. I found out that this is not true. That you go and it's been very welcoming. Maybe it's in different schools, but the school that I am in now very frequently is very welcoming. And so I think that parents should be very involved, because if you're not involved, you don't know what your kids are doing. And so the parents should be a major part of that child's education.
Can I jump in? I think that the great opportunity for parents is to be the primary educators. I think they are the homeschooling, certainly in the first 5 years. There are also some parents or parent who refuse to be that primary educator. And that's where the school system comes in and becomes, in that case, the primary educator. But from 0 to 5, you can set the course for a child. And it's interesting, when I was born, that was what my parents had learned, and that these first years were so crucial. And then somewhere along the line it passed, and now we're coming back to that basic idea. So I think parents have to step in and just demand of themselves that they read to a child from the time they're born, that they worry about them and do everything they can. When that doesn't happen, I think the state and all of us have to become the system, and we have to become the parents, the surrogate parents for those children.
This is a fundamental question we need to answer. There have been many nations around the world, like China, like Cuba. They believe that children are the responsibility of the state, because that's a part of their worldview. And that's really the battle we're facing in education today, to be quite frank. It's a battle of worldview. Whose worldview is going to predominate? In our country, which has had a Judeo-Christian worldview for most of its 230-year history, we believe the kids were the possession of parents, and parents were the primary responsibility. It was parents who delegated that responsibility to a variety of forms of schools, like my wife and I have done. We actually have 6 kids and involved in education with them over 25 years in both public schools, home schools, and private schools. It's our responsibility. I'd love to see the system change, to see actually the money follow the lead of the parents. It would be the best way to go.
Yes, and the teachers tell us over and over again, and I think all of us have this experience, when you're involved in your kids' education, they do a lot better in school. And that just seems to be a fundamental fact. The issue that, to me, though, that's critical here is how our economy is making it more difficult for parents to participate in kids' education. The single household family with one income and not a lot of opportunity to participate is an issue that we need to address. We need to find ways of ensuring that parents have the opportunity to participate in their education of the kids, and we need to make sure that the employer community works with us on that goal. I think that we all need to come together. I think we need to make that bridge somehow, work toward constructing that bridge, and to get employers more directly involved in working with us to help get parents involved in children's education.
You just heard my opponent say that the way to involve parents in education is to give them all the money and let them decide what they would do. And in other fora, he's elaborated on that. I'd like to go back and remind you very briefly about the founding revolution in our country. There were two revolutions. One was the Constitution. But the founders of this country realized that the only way you could have a democracy is if you collectively ran a school system so that the citizens of the country were able to participate in the democracy. It's a core principle. And the idea that you would destroy the schools and that somehow the parents are independently going to all choose their own school system is a fundamentally un-American, unconstitutional, and wrong-headed idea. And we have to be very careful about that. We need parents involved. Every teacher will tell you that, but that's not the way to get them involved.
That's it, that topic. All right, the final thing then is a 1-minute statement from each of the candidates. And I think I'll just go down the list from the 26th district on down. So first up, for 1 minute, ready for timing? For state senator in the 26th district, Representative Derek Kilmer, Democrat from Gig Harbor.
Thank you very much, and thank you for those of you who took the time out of your schedule to show up tonight. When I talk about education, I do so not only as a new dad, but also as the son of 2 school teachers and as a trustee of Tacoma Community College. I'm the former vice chair of communities in schools of the Peninsula School District, where we do reading, mentoring, and math tutoring as well. I'm proud of the fact that the education groups that do endorsements in political campaigns are supporting my campaign, the League of Education Voters, the principals, the school administrators, the teachers, the public school employees. And it's because they know I'll be a champion for education. We have got to get this right. We will not compete in a 21st century economy if we do not invest in education and make sure our kids are prepared. Thank you.
Jim Hines, Republican from Gig Harbor.
Well, you've heard about a lot of issues and solutions. I want to tell you a brief story. My two sons, who are both special needs children, go to public schools in wheelchairs every day. And 2 years ago, my son Brian, who was 10 at the time, took his first steps. And it was with an educator who's devoted and dedicated. And they have helped my sons in more ways than I can tell you. So my last comment is to thank everyone who's involved in education with our children or our grandchildren, and PTA and parents alike who are involved, because they do so much more than just teach. And in my situation, it's truly something earth-shattering and miraculous, so I want to thank you.
For State Representative Position 1, Becky Krantz, Republican from Gig Harbor.
I want to thank you two all for coming. And as a parent and somebody who's worked in the area of higher education, doing research on higher education policy and K-12 education, and somebody who's passionately interested in education and like some of the math issues that you're talking about, I just want to thank you for coming. This has been a great learning experience. I've enjoyed listening to all of you here, and I've learned a lot. And I want to just exhort you to continue to be interested, continue to follow the process, and first of all, and most importantly, continue to consider the interests of the children who are being educated, which is our fundamental priority. Thank you.
Representative Patricia Lance, Democrat from Gig Harbor.
Thank you. I want to take an upbeat end to this. We are 15 years into ed reform, and 10 of those years I've been in the legislature. I've consistently maintained my support for the high standards that we have set, the testing, and the graduation requirements. We have a goal in mind, and of course we can deviate with course changes frequently along the way. But I am so proud of the teachers, the students, the parents, the administrators, and the communities as we have all embarked in this brave new world of learners, where every child is expected to succeed. Do you know in Gig Harbor, on the Peninsula School District right now, we've reached a 94% in the reading WASL, 94%. We have math as our big challenge now, but let's not forget the tremendous progress we've made. We're all proud of those high standards, and we have only more to gain with our stalwart sticking with the program.
For State Representative Position 2, Ron Bainey, Republican from Port Orchard.